Broadcasting live from Youngville, North Carolina and Ontario, Canada. This is Got Mead Live, a weekly show where Vicky Rowe and AJ Aramutz bring you the mead news, meadery info, and mead-making discussions from all over, talking with mead makers, mead owners, industry mavens, and influencers. This is Got Mead Live, a weekly podcast about mead and the people who love it and where the mead world is going. And now here are your hosts, Got Mead owner Vicky Rowe and mead and wine maker AJ Aramutz.
Welcome to Got Mead Live. We are on this week with Yoo Kwan from Seoul, South Korea, who has a meadery there, and this is going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it. So let's get with the program here from the Den of the Puppies of the Apocalypse in northern Michigan, the Bunny Pen in Ottawa, Canada, Palatial Retirement Estate in Minnesota, and this week, the hills of South Korea. I don't know if you have hills there, Kwan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vicky.
I want to thank all the folks who've renewed or signed up for a Got Mead patron membership in the past 2 weeks. You are appreciated. That's what we depend on to keep the show on the road, so to speak. They, for some odd reason, want money for their services. I can't imagine why, but here we are. Anyway, thank you very much for signing up or retaining your membership. And for those of you who don't have one yet, a patron membership is only $30 a year, about 50 cents a week, get you access to the patron boards and the Got Mead Forum, our patron Facebook group, and the award-winning recipes contained therein. You can go to gotmead.com/community and get a free account on the forum. If you choose to upgrade, you can do so from there. And again, I thank you. If you want to listen to us live, those of you already know this, you can find us on YouTube, Twitch, X, and Facebook. On Twitch, we are twitch.tv/meadwench, YouTube, m.youtube.com/@gotmead. X is x.com/realgotmead, and Facebook is facebook.com/gotmead. And of course, our social media is facebook.com/gotmead. That's our page. And facebook.com/groups/gotmead is our main conversational group. We do ask you 3 questions. Please answer those and we'll let you right on in. On X, we are Real Got Mead, and if you want to send us questions, comments, criticisms, people you think we need to have on the show, you can go to gotmead.com, put your mouse over, but do not click Got Mead Live Radio Show, and click the drop down. That'll take you to a form that goes to all 3 of us. So it'll be pretty cool. I want to shout out to our lovely sponsors. Calling all mead lovers and adventure seekers, look no further than Honeybrook Craft Meadery for your go-to destination for wonderful, light, and refreshing mead. With a location in Castle Rock, Colorado, and the new Garden Cottage experience coming this spring to Littleton, Colorado. Go to honeybrook.com for a review of the tap list, upcoming events, and to order online. That's HONNI And the Honey Jar, crafting excellent mead requires excellent honey. Luckily, the Honey Jar is here to help. Since 2005, the Honey Jar has been supplying delicious, pure, raw honey in easy-to-handle 12-pound pails to hobbyist brewers around the United States. Visit us at thehoneyjarhome.com/gotmead. I got to get some of their honey. I haven't done that yet. Yeah, I had an interesting delivery today. I see we've got 4 inches of snow out there. We got dumped on last night, and yeah, and we didn't bother to get the driveway plowed because it's going to be gone in a couple of days anyway. So I see all the dogs started barking, and I see there are tracks in my driveway about the width of a oh God, I hate it when I
like
lose
a 4-wheeler.
No, like a cart, and yeah, like you put boxes on
a dolly.
Thank you. The word was totally out of my mind. See, this is why I'm getting old. I need somebody to take this over for me.
Way to show it.
Yeah. Anyway, so we see the tire tracks of the dolly, and I was like, oh, there's tire tracks out in the driveway. Somebody was here, and they like to park out in the road when there's snow on the ground. So they just park in the road and they walk in. And I go out there, and these 2 giant boxes, and I go to pick one up, and it weighs like 60 pounds. I'm like, the heck? Open it up. There are 4 gallons of mango honey in there. There were 2 boxes. I have 8 gallons of mango honey that Jackie Beavers from Florida sent me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's getting rid of his inventory and he shipped me 8. I gotta call him. It's like, wow,
Yeah,
this is
wow.
great. Thank you. Yeah. And I was saying to AJ, I sent her a picture of it. She's like, oh man.
Right.
Now I just got to figure out some way to ship some to Canada. I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, one of these days.
One of these days. So, what are we drinking?
Well, I can start.
Okay.
Tonight, I have a mead from Armageddon Brewing in New Jersey.
Okay.
I have fond memories of these folks, and I am eager to try this mead. I had an experience with them at MeadCon in Baltimore a few years ago, where I had their chocolate mead, which was fantastic. Honestly, I'm kind of indifferent to chocolate. I like it, but it's not like something I really seek out, unlike my wife, who loves it. And the one that they had there was really, really something, and very inspiring. Well, this one is made with a blend of wildflower and avocado honey, that's a great choice for a base for chocolate. And it has roasted cocoa nibs and roasted peanuts in it. So this one has aromas of chocolate and a little tingly alcohol as a first impression, with light honey and a hint of peanuts trailing along behind there. It's thick and viscous and sweet. Tannin is low. Acid is nicely balanced to the sweetness. It's really smooth and creamy chocolate, and the honey's intermingled with light peanuts in the finish. Also interesting that while I'm kind of indifferent to chocolate, I'm not real fond of peanuts in my beverages. But this one is delightful, and I really happy I had a chance to try it. It earned a gold medal in the category it was entered in at Valkyrie's Horn, and if you get a chance, I would recommend seeking it out.
Cool.
Nice. Sounds good. Somebody's banging something around. All right, so what you got, AJ?
I have actually got something I am embarrassed to say has been in my garage for way too long. I didn't make this one. This was actually made by a friend of mine, and I think it may have been her first attempt at mead. She got a hold of some geisha leaves, so I'm having my first tej, despite the fact that it's years old. The honey's nice. I'm not quite sure what I'm looking for, or if the geisha leaves have faded, because I don't know what they taste like, and I don't know what I'm looking for, but it smells like it's gotten a little bit old, which is entirely my fault, because I should have drank it like 10 years ago, or at least 5 years ago. And it's actually quite pleasant. I could do with a little more sweetness, but again, she didn't stabilize it, so the cork popped at least once. And I just, found it, cleaned it off, put it back on. Because I am a terrible, terrible person. And it's actually it's showing legs right now, and I've made worse than this. I've made much worse than this, especially considering how long it's been sitting on my garage floor. So, good job, Nicole, and I'm sorry it took me so long.
Your garage floor must be warm enough so you don't have to worry about it exploding due to freezing.
Yeah, it's right next to the house where it was, and my garage barely gets below freezing since they put an insulated door in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's because it's like two sides and the top are house. So it's fairly well insulated, and as long as the door is closed, it actually only a couple of days in like January and February does it get below freezing in there. So
okay.
But this has got legs enough that I'm sure it's got a decent amount of alcohol in it. I don't think she had a hydrometer, so I don't know. Don't know exactly how much.
Yeah, you'll find out when you get to the end of it, right?
I'll find out when I get to the end of it, and we'll see if I have room for anything else. What about you, Vic?
Well, I got into my things I brought home for the Valkyrie's Horn, and One of them was a bottle of Kevin. Kevin was nice enough to give me some mead. And this is a basswood mead with rhubarb and cardamom at around 13 to 14%. It's a sweet mead. And oh my gosh, I couldn't stand waiting. First of all, Kevin's been going on about this rhubarb mead for like a month and a half now. So I just been like, oh my God. And he gave me a bottle of it. So thank you. But it's really great. When you open it up, you get this aroma of the basswood honey and the tang of the rhubarb and a little bit of, a little bit of the sharpness from the cardamom coming in there. And at the first taste, it's rhubarb with the cardamom is just right there with it. And it's almost like a rhubarb cardamom pie without crust. And it comes in the cardamom comes in as this gentle warmth and a little bit of a spicy note. Basswood is just giving it a totally solid floor, and the finish is this long spicy treat. It's so nice. We've already started speculating on what else can you do with this. So, nicely
what other
done,
things can I
Kevin.
add to it to ruin it? Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's like we can't help but experiment, though.
I know.
So Kwan, I know it's still before noon there, but are you drinking anything?
Of course I am.
Good man.
Since you folks are all drinking, I just don't like to, be left out. So I
Yeah.
looked around my table and I found a bottle of soju. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Yeah, I have a bottle of soju actually.
So soju is what you call distilled rice wine in Korea. So it can be a range up from 20 to 40 ABV. And at the moment, I'm looking at a handcrafted soju. So this isn't like a commercially made with like cheap ingredients. This is 100% rice fermented. It's about 22 ABV. So it's quite nice and pleasant. Not too bad for something you can have in the morning. Yeah,
Yeah, not bad at all.
No,
I've got a bottle of soju that I brought back from a cocktail convention that I spoke. They asked me to come and speak about mead, and they had different booze in every room, and there were several Asian companies there that had there was sake, there was soju, there was just all kinds of things that I had never tried before. And this one guy just handed me this bottle of soju, and I brought it home with me. I was like, oh my God, it's really good.
was it in the green glass or is it like a clear one?
No, this one's actually in like a black bottle.
Oh, okay, then it's a good one, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know because I don't have a lot of experience. I know I like it. So.
Well, now you've made me curious.
Yeah, it's an interesting beverage. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, but one of my friends in western part of the in the Western countries, they refer to it as a mildly made vodka.
Okay.
So it's a very similar taste, but a bit more like a ricey kind of flavor at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It is. It's like if you took. Gosh, I would say it's hard to describe because the last glass of it I had was a couple of weeks ago. But yeah,
does it taste similar to sake or not?
No.
Not really.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's its own thing.
yeah, well, so sake and like in Korean version we call it yakju. So that's like the fermented rice beverage, but we collect the clearest part, or else we can filter it out. So you get really clear, like it's kind of like a mead per se, but made with rice. So you see that really yellow, glowing, very clear liquid. And if we distill that, we get soju, which in Japanese they call it sochu. So that's like a very big difference, fermented versus distilled.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Okay.
So for soju, then how do you convert those starches so that they are fermentable?
Okay, so in Korea we have this cultivated wild yeast called nuruk. It's been used like throughout the whole history. So it's a combination between yeast and like a wild bacteria that turns starch into sugar. And then because we also have yeast in it, it converts those sugars into alcohol at the same time. So simultaneous fermentation happens. As where in Japan, they have this thing called koji rice. So it's a specially made rice that has been cultivated with wild yeast. So I think that's sorry, not wild yeast, wild bacteria. So that also acts as an agent that turns starch into sugar, and they also have to put yeast eventually because
Oh, you're
it-
echoing.
yeah. Oh, am I?
Yeah, you got there's a sound coming in. You got a double. Yeah.
Oh, how's it now? Am I still echoing?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So
Sounds fine to me.
Okay.
Okay, it
How
seems
about-
to have stopped. I don't know where that came from, but yeah, it was echoing on my end.
So I removed my phone away from the microphone. I think that's might have been the problem, but anyway.
Makes sense.
So we're all clear now, are we?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Yeah. So I was saying.
Yeah, have
about-
you got
yeah.
the sound, Kwan? Have you got the
Yeah.
sound on your computer?
No, it's been disabled.
Okay, okay.
Let me see. Yeah. So I made it sure that's disabled. Just double checking. Okay. How's it now?
Yeah, they say it's good. Nobody out there is hearing it, so it might just be on my end.
Yeah, I wasn't hearing it either.
Okay. What about now?
Again, for me, it's fine. But I didn't hear echoing. to
Yeah, I
begin
think
with.
you're good. I don't know why it's doing it on my end, but just yeah.
Okay. Just let me know if it happens again. I'll try to figure it out.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So now I want to follow up on this a little bit. Have you utilized this yeast and bacteria strain to make any mead at this point?
Of course I did, but
Uh-huh.
that was like
expected that. I just wanted to
yeah.
ask.
it was a really experimental project that I did like 3 years ago, and I actually I think I submitted that to the Major Cup. That was in 2018 or 19. I can't really remember, but so one of the feedbacks I had was that it has a very like a bread kind of nuances. Brettanomyces, is it how you say it, right?
Yeah, Brettanomyces.
Yeah, Brettanomyces. Yeah. So that yeast and the Nuruk itself has that kind of a flavor, but if made well, you can't really feel that. But I think it's just that type of wild cultivated thing that kind of gave out that flavor. So yeah, in a way, I use that because initially I was making a mead with rice. So I needed a way of turning that rice starch into sugar, which I had to use the Nuruk. So it's a Nuruk and the yeast at the same time with the honey and the rice itself. Kind of made an interesting flavor, but it was like my first and my last project with the rice. So I didn't get to to improve or whatsoever.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it was like only one time that I tried in my lifetime.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah,
Yes.
a lot of fun to play around with new things like that. Or to you, it might not seem new, but to us, it would.
Yeah. So I don't see anywhere else in this world where they're making meat with rice. So I guess that can fall into the braggart category, maybe.
I would say experimental.
Experimental. Okay.
Yeah, because it's
Right.
an alternative fermentable.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually have a mead that I made with rice.
You did.
Yeah, I have a test batch going right now.
Oh, so how did you turn those starch into sugar?
I didn't.
You
Deliberately.
didn't. Okay.
I am working on a horchata mead,
Horchata mead.
which we were introduced to horchata when we were all down in Mexico with you.
Okay. I'm sorry. What's a
And
horchata?
horchata is basically like a rice pudding
Okay.
that you drink.
Right.
So I wanted to try doing something like that.
Oh, I see.
And so it's supposed to be cloudy. It's supposed to be thick, viscous,
Mhm.
very heavy on the rice.
Oh.
And so that's what I'm working on. It's not done yet,
Yes.
but
Mhm.
it's looking interesting. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I'm eager to make this rice version of mead, kind of a hazy kind of style, maybe like a hazy IPA. But it's just that by doing so, I cannot filter out those yeast because it would be way too hazy, and
Mhm.
I cannot use any chemical agents for stabilizations here in Korea at the moment
Mm.
Uh-huh.
because of the regulations. So, which I am changing that as we speak. So let's, yeah, I have to see how that turns out.
Okay, we got questions coming in as you're talking about this stuff. I
Mhm.
finally got rid of the echo on my end. I figured out I had a Twitch tab up and it was feedbacking on me. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm out here like frantically closing tabs. Okay, so we
Yeah.
were talking. Okay, so we're gonna have to think back because it was all a jumble for me because literally everybody was
Yeah.
reverbing
So
3 and 4.
one of the
It's-
questions was related to this yeast and bacteria combination. Does it form a SCOBY? And if you're not familiar with that term,
like kombucha.
Yeah, the mushroom thingy on the
right,
yeah.
yeah,
No, so it doesn't really. So let's say it's a very so the noodle itself is fabricated in the form of a huge cake that is hard as a rock. So you make those a thick dough with wheat, possibly with other stuff, and then you cultivate. You want to throw in like wild yeast onto it, and then you dry it outside on the direct sunlight. And then when it's completely dehydrated, you break down into a small size of pellets. So that's how you measure the amount of noodle you want to use per batch of makgeolli.
Mm.
So and if that is now put into the liquid, let's say in must, like honey and water and all sorts of things, it will start breaking down, and then it will just foam down into a really like a sludgy kind of a like a texture. So it falls down on the bottom of the fermenter vessels. You wouldn't see any kind of a scoby-like like a life forms on top of the
Mhm.
surface. Yeah.
Okay.
hmm
Okay. And then he's saying why experimental and when fundamental.
Very fundamental.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't know. I don't know what fundamental means, but
Yeah. He
Why
says
experimental?
he goes on and says 7,000 BC China make it a fundamental historical component. Predating that, what have we determined mead to be now? No. That's what he
Well,
said.
I guess this is referring to the Jiahu mead. Is that what
yeah,
you
I
guys
think so.
thinking right
Yeah.
now? Yeah. So they basically found these components that they assume to be what is known now like a mead or wine, or it could be maybe a beer, maybe. So they were like three components of fruits, honey, and grains that were fermented in a vessel. They found in this region called Jiahu in China.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this professor called Patrick
Yeah. Patrick McGovern.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
he kind of
booze archaeologist.
yeah, he did. Yeah,
That's
he
what I call
actually
him anyway.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So he, I think, because he revived that recipe with the, I think in the help with the brew Dogfish Head Brewery.
Yeah, Dogfish Head did Jiahu.
Yeah, the Chateau Jiahu. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I never tried it, but I guess it's one of the ways recreating the ancient recipe.
Yeah, they did the same thing with the when they reverse engineered the Midas, King Midas's
Oh yes, it did.
beverage. Yeah, in his tomb, they did Midas touch, and that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, those are really interesting. I've got all of his books. He's quite the guy. He's done a lot of really interesting stuff.
Is it like the same type of meat we're drinking in the modern days, or is it?
No, the Midas touch was more of. It wasn't really quite a braggot. It was more like a. It's probably more on the honey beer side.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but it closely resembled a mead. It just wasn't all the way there. And
Right.
So it was definitely a beer.
yeah,
Beer, more
well,
on the beer
when
side.
they reproduced it, definitely reproduced a beer.
I see.
Yeah. So and Jiahu, same. Honey was involved, but it wasn't
Mostly from malts. Yeah.
right. Yeah. So it's changed a lot over the centuries.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. naturally. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was thousands of years. So gosh only knows, you know.
Mm.
But yeah, it's interesting. Christian is asking, is there a
Oh yes. Yeah.
specific reason why South Korea has a restriction on chemical stabilizers?
Right. So to answer this question, we have to go through the basic the legislations, the alcohol legislations in Korea. So to make mead, it can be either made from fruit wine license, or we call it the other alcohol license, because honey doesn't, it's not related to any other like conventional ingredients like rice, fruit, or malt.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have like a terminology for that. Well, you made from the honey, so it's it is put under the other alcohol license. So those are two ways. And if you're making in the fruit wine license, we follow the same legislations as the European nations do, or maybe in other nations, like maybe in the States. So like if you are adding like the amount of SO2, it can add up to like from 200 to 350 ppm. But if we're making that under the other alcohol license, for some reason, they only allows us to go below 30 ppm, which is a ridiculous amount of a small amount. So, and of course, sorbet is not permitted at all.
That's
So,
interesting.
yeah, so we usually use SO2 and sorbet just to, to knock out the yeast, and then, to keep them from, what do you call it, reproducing, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but since we cannot use sorbet and we can only use small amount of SO2, so the only the means to to stabilize the mead in Korea comes down to pasteurizing, or filtering to the finest micron that's available here.
Right.
So the latter means that's what I'm using in my meadery. I'm not a fan of pasteurizing. One, because I'm not, I don't have a very much experience in it, and two, I had this notions that it does kind of change. It does alter the taste in some way. So filtering was my first way to go for the last 10 years, and it's been working out so far. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have to use an absolute filter.
Yes, that's what I'm doing.
Down to about a half micron in order to remove bacteria.
No. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. Yeah.
And that's expensive. Most small meaderies don't want to do that, because
No,
those
they
kind
don't.
of filters are a lot of money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, in the United States, we're allowed to use sorbate. So
Right.
it's way cheaper to do sorbate than it is to do absolute filtration.
Yeah, that's logically correct. And so I've done 1 or 2 times with absolute filters, and then because of the cost, I tried experimenting with the nominal filters. And so far, that mead that has been aging for more than 6 months in the bottle, I never experienced any re-fermentations or any contaminations by bacteria. So I was kind of lucky at this moment for so far. But because, like I said, I'm changing the regulations. I made this petition to the Ministry of Food and Safety, and they understood what the problem was, and they were kind of they agreed that this should be changed for the meat industry as well.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yes,
Good for you.
so
Yeah,
it was,
that's a lot more responsive than the American ministry.
yeah, it happened so quick. So I hope
Yeah.
this also helps the other meteors in Korea, because they're also facing the same problem. So I hope this becomes a turning tide for meat industry in Korea.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, over here there's too many vested interests in keeping things the way they are. So
Oh no.
very, very hard to get it to change.
Well,
Yeah.
that and the fact that we've got a patchwork of
Right. But that's
legal
also part of
things.
the deal. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of vested interests who are like, nope, this is my slice of the pie. I don't want it to change, even though it would make perfectly good sense for everybody to be in the same system.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This works
Well-
for me, and if you change it, then somebody else will have a competitive advantage. I don't want that, so don't
Right.
change it.
And the-
yeah.
They have that same problem in Mexico too,
Of
because
course, it's everywhere.
the big players make the rules, basically.
Yeah, it's humanity.
Yeah.
If I have an advantage, I don't want to give it up.
Yep.
So that's one of the things that few people told me.
Mhm.
If I change the regulations, wouldn't it, give other competitors, advantage over me? And I kind of disagree because I mean, the whole point of doing this business is also, making money, but also it's about, growing this industry. And to do so, I need to get the pie a lot bigger. It's not just
Right.
about me doing the good things. So I also need more people to be encouraged, either as a manufacturers or as a consumers. So I'm just doing my best as I can.
Well, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah.
And you were saying there's like what, 10 meaderies in Korea now?
At the moment, there's like 6 or 7. There's more. I think there's like 1 or 2 that became operational in the last few months. So
Okay.
that's add up to 8, maybe.
So what is causing that to happen?
Causing what? Sorry.
Why are you seeing this sort of sudden interest in mead in Korea when it didn't really exist before? What is
Because Kwan
driving
told him
it?
about it.
Right. So I think Korea itself has a tendency of following the trends after what happens in the United States, right? So
Okay.
when Starbucks got up, I don't know when was the Starbucks founded in the United
Oh
States?
boy. 1980 maybe?
Yeah.
Right. So in Korea, that kind of franchises start becoming famous during the end of 90s. And then the craft beers also came after the I don't know, like after 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So
When
if
the
you
craft boom kicked off here.
yes, so if you look at the history, it goes like 10 years or more than 10 years after after it happens in the United States. So,
Mhm.
and I think because mead was kind of in a growing stage between 2010 and 2020, now it's the time where the current customers are now trying to discover the new the next drink after the craft beers. So a lot of a lot of customers they try to find mead after they have gone through craft beers, I believe. So that's one of the first reasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also, I don't know, maybe because the meadery itself kind of grew into the alcohol industries in Korea, where they're now focusing onto more like a niche, expensive, more like a value consumption rather than like a cheap drinks. So, and there's something called mead. What is it? It's a honey fermented beverage. So that intrigued a lot of people in that kind of a small market, and that's how it became more, growing stage. Mhm.
That's really cool.
That is
Yeah.
really cool.
Because
What-
people
what
are
is,
less. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go on.
What's the current state of honey production in Korea?
Honey production is very, I wouldn't say rich, but because Korea has a very 4 distinctive seasons. So spring is very cold, summer gets really hot. During the fall, yeah, it gets really humid and also again hot. And then during the winters, naturally, it's really also cold. So
Well,
the only
when you
time,
say cold, what do you mean?
Yeah.
so okay.
Cold is relative.
Okay. So let's say in the center of, like say in the capital in Seoul, it can be between from 0 to minus 10 Celsius.
Okay.
Yeah, and in other like countryside, the northern side gets even colder. So like maybe between minus 20 to minus 10.
Okay.
Okay.
And in the southern side, it's relatively warmer. So that's where a lot of bee farmers are stationed at. But because there are really small amount of floral honey source that bees can get,
Oh,
so we
okay.
don't have a very big regions with abundance of trees or flowers. So what the beekeepers do in order to survive, they have to travel all around the country from the south side and then traveling towards the north, where the flowers they start blooming up.
Wow.
So they're following that path, trying to get as much as honey they can get. And
So they're chasing the nectar sources all year.
So
yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
But then the
you know,
problem becomes. I'm sorry, Kevin. What was that?
that's kind of how it works here too, at least on a
Yeah.
commercial level. You know,
Yeah.
so all the northern beekeepers, for the most part, the big
Right.
ones,
Yeah.
they all put their bees on a truck and send them down to the south end of the country, and then they do pollination services there.
Oh
and
yeah,
then
they
they
do
bring
that.
them.
Yeah.
Then they bring them all back to the north for the summer.
Yeah.
So it's pretty similar, it sounds like, to what you're talking about there.
Yeah. There's a
I-
beekeeper just north of
Mhm.
me. He has St. Ambrose Meadery, Sleeping Bear Farms honey. And every winter for like 3 months, he takes his 2,000 plus hives down to Florida. And, you know, and then brings back all kinds of really great regional honeys that you can't get up here. So
Right.
Yeah. For those who speak Fahrenheit, Kwan's saying that they go down below 0 Fahrenheit in some places.
yes.
Right.
Well,
Right.
0 C is freezing. So
Yeah. But minus 20 is a little below 0 Fahrenheit.
Yeah,
so-
it's about 10 below, maybe at the most.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So in that temperature range, it is tough to keep bees alive if they're not completely healthy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right, of course. So we have to cover the to make sure
Right.
that they're insulated throughout the
Mhm.
winter.
Mm-hmm.
And another problem about Kevin, if we're going back to Kevin's original question, the honey production is getting more difficult as we speak because we're facing the climate problems.
Mhm.
So it gets really cold, and then it gets all of a sudden it gets really warm in a few
Oh,
hours.
yeah.
So what happens is that for the trees, they start blooming, and then they also start the leaves are falling off the petals. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, so that means the bees have less food source to find their honey. So that's one problem, and the second problem is the bees. They wake up from their hibernations, so they fly out, and then they kind of freeze immediately on the way back home.
Mhm.
So the climate change is one of the big issues here in Korea.
Yeah. If you get big temperature fluctuations during the day, that can happen.
Yes, those fluctuations are really huge problems.
Yep. Now,
And
you
again,
don't have any Africanized bees in South Korea, do you?
I believe we don't.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, not like the ones I experienced. Well, I haven't seen it in my own eyes, but I know what they do.
Right.
But no, we are mostly dependent on just a normal calm bees. But we have two type of bees, I believe. One is like the domestic Korean bee species that they're nearly in the verge of extinct,
Uh-huh.
but they make a different type of honey. I think I don't know.
Okay.
I've never tried one. And then the majority will be from the European varieties. The
Uh-huh.
European
Okay.
varieties. Yeah.
Are you?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So if the bees are having to travel to keep production levels up, this is from Christian. Is there specific varietals, or does most of the honey produced ended up becoming like sort of a blended or more of a wildflower type product?
We have to get wildflower honey because we don't have like very specific regions with a specific type of nectar flowers.
Yeah,
as
you don't have the
said.
monocropping that we've got here.
No,
Yeah.
but like we there's a saying that nearly more than 70% of honey production relies on false acacia trees in Korea,
Oh, okay.
which is the most dominant flower providing trees in Korea that has been existed for the last 5 decades.
Okay.
But that tree is now declining in a high rate of declines because many reasons. Their lifespan has reached to the end, and two, there was a myth that the false acacia trees are kind of absorbing all the nutrients around their region, so that's affecting the other vegetations to meet their starvation. So what farmers and the beekeepers did was they tried to eradicate the false acacia trees. But that was like, I don't know, nearly 20 years ago, I believe. So that tree is now declining. So we're trying to find the next source of flowers, but that can survive throughout the 4 seasons. So I don't know what that's going to be. I have to check on that one.
Okay, with all of that in mind,
Mhm.
where are you sourcing the honey that you're using?
Okay, so I have a local bee farmers that is in a contract with me, and he says during the summer seasons there's wide regions near my meadery. We have a very huge amount of chestnut trees. So during the summer times we get chestnut trees, but other than that, he also has to travel around the country. So that can be from the further down side of Korea up to the northern side of South Korea. I hope he doesn't go further to the north, but
Yeah, that could be problematic. Yeah.
it could be, yeah.
Well,
Well, it could
I
be
would think so, because Seoul is rather close to that border, isn't it?
Oh
It is.
yeah. Yeah, my daughter spent a month on the DMZ with the
Oh yeah, I
Army.
believe we serve in the same unit. I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had that conversation. So
did.
yeah, I think you're right.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's wild.
It is. Yeah. So like
Do
around.
you import from other
Sorry.
countries then?
I'm sorry.
Do you import from other countries?
Oh, again. So because of that the regulations, the SO2 thing, as I mentioned before, and the sorbet, any mead that has more than 30 ppm of SO2 or sorbet cannot be imported in Korea. Which I can say is really hard to find that doesn't have any of those components.
Okay, you mean
What about the honey though?
a finished mead, and so that's interesting. We can come back to that, but I was actually talking about honey
Oh, honey.
coming from another country.
Oh, I see. There's a strong. I think there's like the FTA that has been signed a few years ago. We do see some exported honeys, but it's really hard to find. It's majority honeys you can get in commercial levels, domestic honeys.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're getting this news that this the trade regulations are changing, will change in the near future. So a lot cheaper honeys from foreign regions will be imported in Korea. So that's arising the issues between those beekeepers because it's just hard. It's difficult as
Oh,
is
sure.
to sell their own honey. Well, if there's a cheaper one, it'd be even worse.
Right.
Hmm.
Yep. Yeah, those doggone vested interests.
Yeah.
Makes
Money.
sense,
It's such a
though.
lousy way to keep score.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Well, that's
Right.
interesting. It's just I never thought that honey or rather pollination sources would be something that are difficult to come by in Korea. I mean, there's a lot of agriculture there, so I just kind of assumed that there was enough.
But not all agriculture is good for bees though. Like
Right. Yeah. Well, and take a look at Ireland. They have a similar situation. I mean, that's got to be the plantest coverest place I've ever been. And I mean, it's green and lush and all of that, and
nary a bee anywhere.
nary a bee anywhere. Yeah. Well, I mean, there are some, but very few, and not enough. So much so that the commercial mead maker, there's only one there, she sources her honey from Spain. She has to because there's not enough to do a commercial batch. I know Mike Fall did one, and I've actually got a bottle of it. Garavogue is what he called it, but he managed to scrounge up enough honey to do one small commercial batch, and that took him like months to collect the honey.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like corn, soybeans, all those things. They don't
Oh,
produce
yeah.
nectar.
No.
And
They
if
don't.
that's-
No.
If that's what's being grown, I mean, I imagine soybeans are probably being grown there. I don't know about corn, but yeah, I mean, those things they don't really produce nectar. Maybe a little pollen, but not
Mhm.
nectar. So
yeah,
it makes a difference.
it does.
But you would think, a lot of the country is pretty tropical, right? Because it's very hot, it's very wet. Wouldn't
Yeah.
there be an awful lot of flowers in that have nectar sources for pollinators in those kind of areas?
You'd think, yeah.
Well, to my knowledge, there are flowers that do produce nectars, and there are a few that doesn't. So they're like a typical ratio of those flowers that exist in Korea. So I wouldn't say all the flowers do produce nectars to a certain
Mhm.
amount.
Well, and
So
it's different
the key point,
flowers.
yeah. So the key point is to know what kind of flowers are in your region or in other side of regions, and it's up to their strategy to to find those and travel
Sure.
in accordance to those populations of flowers.
Mhm. All right.
But
so
again, you're right about the climate is getting really hot, very tropical. So we're getting more and more new kind of flowers that did not were very hard to cultivate in like I don't know during the last 2 decades. So
Mhm.
things are changing now. So I don't know how it's going to end up in the future. We
Right.
have to
Nobody
see.
does.
Nobody does. Yeah.
So let's switch gears here. You were just in Poland, I believe.
Yeah.
I was. Yeah.
How did that go?
Oh, it was again really a very fascinating event. Always very welcomed by friendly people in Poland, and I mean the competition-wise, it was getting more and more difficult between the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
Seriously, because
It is.
yeah, I mean more and more people are getting I don't know, but more better, I would say.
Oh
So
Yeah.
more
yeah.
skilled,
Oh,
yeah,
it's improved
yeah.
immensely over the
I
last
mean,
20 years. I've
it
been
was.
doing this long enough that I remember when almost all the mead was like, oh my gosh. You
Okay,
know,
yes,
it was,
technically it's Mead.
yeah, right. Yeah. And we used to get a far higher concentration of
Mhm.
you put this in a bottle Y kind of meads.
Right.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
and the Polish competition is now the largest in the world, and the
Yep.
bigger the comps get, the harder it gets to medal.
Oh,
Well, of
yeah.
course.
Right. Of course.
Because you have a lot more people in the same category for one, but also because it attracts better
So much more.
talent because of the size.
Yeah.
Better talent and a lot more of it too.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well,
So all
look
the
at
classes are going to be bigger, and yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
look at
surprised it's
things
harder.
like Barry Melomels,
Right.
Oh
Barry
God, yeah,
Mel's
that's huge classes.
huge category to where they have to break it up into dry, medium, and sweet, and some berries, but not these berries, and these other berries, and those berries.
Yep. I don't think that Mead Madness Cup breaks it up by dry, medium, sweet. Maybe.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't recall that when I was looking at it. Although
Yeah.
it has been a little while, so I could be wrong. But some of the big ones here in the United States do that. Mazer Cup and Valkyrie's Horn both do that. So
Yeah.
otherwise, you end up with 50 meads in the one category, all by themselves.
Well,
Yeah.
And that's tough.
Yeah. I saw
It
you. I saw you pulled a second in Braggot and Sparkling.
Yeah.
I did.
See, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
So
So,
I have a follow up to that, which is
Mhm.
how do you feel that translates in terms of recognition or sales of your product to the public?
In Korea.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate a bit further on your
So if you win a medal at and of course we recognize the value of these competitions, right? Because
Right.
we know who they are, we know how they're
Mhm.
run, we know how big they
Mhm.
are, and all that.
Mhm.
But when you win a bronze, a silver, a gold medal at one of these types of competitions,
Mhm.
how does that translate to your customers? Does it mean anything to them?
Oh, I
Does it
see.
add value to your business to have that?
Oh, it absolutely does. So the Koreans, I wouldn't represent them, but a lot of Koreans, they see the high value in the awards or the medals that, especially were won in western side of in the world, or in like in any part of the in other even Asia. But see, the medals, they also represent how much it was recognized in that specific region of category. So like in the mead itself, the medals also means but something. But also because in Korea they don't have a lot of products in mead, and because of that reason, I think the words does elevate the value of our products.
Okay, good.
Okay. Christian's just had a comment, and he was saying he wonders if, for Korea specifically, if the climate change will ultimately help with honey production. The downside, of course, is that other agriculture may suffer. So, but it was just a comment he put in there. But I thought that was interesting viewpoint. Yeah. Do you guys get monsoons?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Monsoons, the heavy multiple days of rain that go on for weeks.
Oh yeah, we do.
Okay, I wondered because I know a lot of other countries in that general vicinity get them. So.
Oh yeah, like in the China or Japan, we have
Right.
that
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah. India
just
gets
terrible.
some. Vietnam gets some. Yeah. So.
We lose a lot of agricultures during those seasons. And,
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, and the flooding itself also becomes a huge problem for the people because it actually costs their lives. And one of the things that the humidity and the rain that affects the agriculture is that a lot of fruits have a very high level of water content.
Okay.
Because of the humidity, I believe. So that's one of the reasons why Korean grapes are quite known to be inappropriate to be used as a winemaking ingredient because it has a too much high water content, so it's watered down literally. So the tannins, the color, the sugar levels, or any whatsoever are pretty much lower than the ones you find in the European varieties.
That makes it sound like it would be perfect for making mead with, though.
That's what I got gold from my first competition in the MMC commercial level. Yeah, because I likewise I thought it was a perfect sense because I had to use honey anyway. So why not make mead, not wine? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that is the challenge with piment, with the European grape, the vinifera varieties, because they are very high sugar content, and so keeping your alcohol level down to the point where it's more enjoyable can actually be a challenge when you're making a piment.
Right.
Yeah.
I was wondering if the black locust is your false acacia, and that grows here too. So I'm wondering if linden trees grow there.
There are very few regions with linden trees.
Okay.
So I can only ask the beekeeper to look out for any linden trees, and I have to be really lucky to get some of those honey.
Yeah. Just looking at I was looking at growing zones, and it seems that black locust likes similar growing zones to linden trees. So it was just a thought. It's always interesting to see what's popular, what grows in an area and what doesn't, even though the growing zones are about the same.
Right. We have some regions that have a buckwheat.
Okay.
Honey. And that's also interesting because we do eat a lot of buckwheat related ingredients like noodles.
Okay.
All sorts of so we use that instead of wheat flours. So naturally we have a lot of buckwheat sources. So
that's a good thing for bees.
Oh yeah, it is. So that happens mostly on the eastern side of Korea. So I guess this year I'm trying to get some of those buckwheat honey, if possible, to make some traditional mead from single variety, especially from buckwheat honey.
So have you had what do you think of the buckwheat honey that you get there? Because around here we've got two different kinds, and one of
Yeah,
them's
that's
a
what I
lot
heard.
more pleasant than the other.
Right. I guess we get those. I haven't tried the worst, but the ones I tried so far, they're really. I mean, they tend to be darker
Mhm.
than the other honey,
Yeah.
but they are quite very pleasant. They are floral. They have a really rich dark flavor, like a molasses,
Okay.
dark sugary. Yeah, it was really nice. I'm trying to get more on that this year, if possible.
Okay, that's cool.
But how was it unpleasant? The other one?
It smells like a horse stall.
Oh no. Okay.
And I find that the
Kind
taste
of,
is
yeah.
fine, but it stinks. And like
Mhm.
I've had meads that have been made with it, and I actually add it to a lot of my own traditionals just because it gives it a little more complexity. And because that is one of the varietals that grows around here, which
Right.
those are few and far between too, because we don't monocrop very much here either. But
Yeah.
the the eastern buckwheat here is described as barnyard, and for
Barnyard.
good
Okay.
reason. It tastes fine, but it really stinks. So like you kind of have to hold
Mhm.
your nose when you drink the mead.
Oh no.
But I love the taste of it, so I'm willing to put up with the smell.
It does taste good. I like it for an adjunct honey
Hmm.
Right.
as opposed to the main honey, but it has a ton of flavor and complexity that makes it really handy to use.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I got some interesting reactions because I took the honey library to bee school
Oh yeah.
on Saturday.
Ooh.
I had close to 50 honeys and they were over the moon. And now the gal that's helping run bee school is like, so I want to put together a day event where people can come and taste these honeys. Are you up for that? And she says, I'm going to charge them like $5 a head. And I was like, I'm fine with that. She was all over me going, you can't just give this away. I'm like, no, I got this so that I can share it with people.
Yeah, but you know, you want to be able to replace it when it's gone.
Well, exactly. And that's was her point was that. And I was like,
Mhm.
unfortunately, some of it I won't ever, once that Australian stuff's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
I think in Asia, especially in Korea and Japan, one of the special honeys you can get during the March throughout to April is the cherry blossom honey.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like what's some known to sakura, but in Korea, the cherry blossom honey is really unique, and
Uh,
I'm making a mead out of that honey at the moment, and it's really nice.
oh my gosh.
I'm
I want
jealous.
to try that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
jealous too.
I brought one of those honey back in Poland. I think it was a competition last year, and one of my friends in Poland, he especially asked me to bring a whole batch of the honey so that he can try out because he really loved that honey. So I think it's kind of unique in a sense that you cannot really get in any part of the outside Asia. Do you also have cherry blossoms in the United States?
We
Well,
do. We
You
have a
do?
large cherry. The United States produces an awful lot of a different kind of cherry than
Oh,
what you're
okay,
talking
right.
about, but it doesn't oddly produce much nectar at all. So there is
Oh,
no
okay.
cherry honey that I have found here. Kevin, you ever come across any?
nope. The
Yeah,
only
I
one
mean,
I've had is the one that came from Germany.
right, and that
Oh,
again,
nice.
that's not the same kind of cherries that we have here.
Right.
Christian's going so bulk buy for Korean cherry blossom honey. Anyone? Yeah, we're in Christian. We're good.
Yeah, count me in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
at
just gotta
least
see if we can get Kwan to help us find some.
Yeah. I
if
see
it
what I
is
can
like
do.
if it's like the German one, definitely count
Oh
me in.
yeah, I'm all over
That,
that.
Yeah.
that is in my top 5 honeys of all times that I've ever tasted.
It says very limited supply.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah,
looking at.
I'll try to bring some samples if I get across, to meet you in the future.
Yeah, well, if
That'd
not,
be
we
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
if you go to
Cool.
the
Poland one.
European, yeah, the Polish,
Yeah. Polish one. Okay.
yeah, next year
Cool.
MMC.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm looking at Jirsan Hangbang Korean cherry blossom honey here.
Joseon Hanba. What are you
Yeah,
looking into?
yeah, I'm on go. Oh God, I don't speak Korean, obviously.
Okay.
Gochujar.com, Jirasan Hanbong Cherry
Joseon
Blossom
Hanba.
Honey. Yeah. And it says that Every year it is masterfully extracted by beehive master Yoo Kwan.
One guy. There's only one guy who does
One
it in the
guy,
whole
yeah.
country.
And it says very limited, and it says very short period of bloom, very limited supply, and
That is true. Yeah.
yeah, and a 400-gram bottle is $70 US.
Ay,
Whoa.
ay, 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 ay.
Yeah,
Well, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is a lot.
Yeah.
so yeah, that's. I just thought I'd look it up, see if I can get a description. But it just says it's sweet and balanced. It's like, okay, it doesn't tell me.
Yeah, it's just way too, yeah, you can't describe it. It's really unique.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll have to order. I see there's places I can get sample sizes. I'll have to add that to my honey library.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, because I see, Sakura cherry blossom honey and Yamada bee farm domestic Sakura honey. That'd be Japanese. I would
So,
assume.
oh yeah, so that's
Yeah, sorry,
400 grams for was it $70? Did you say?
400 grams, $70. Yeah.
That's worse than Manuka honey.
That's not even a pound.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ouch.
It is.
Count me out.
Find a much better deal. Yeah.
Yeah, little pricier than this guy without an income can afford. I think.
Yeah, I hear ya. Yeah, 100 grams of the domestic Sakura from the Yamada
Yeah.
bee farm is $10.
That's your taste.
Yeah, that's about it.
Maybe I'll just plant a dozen sweet cherry trees and wait about 5 years and then we'll
See what happens.
Yeah.
I'm
That could
planning
work.
on putting in some cherry trees. I mean, Ken would know. He's got a bunch of cherry trees, but he and I had that conversation because that was one of my first questions: was cherry honey? Because I'm
Yeah. My mom had a
Yeah,
couple
but
of cherry trees.
how
Put
many
them all
trees
down.
would it take? You know,
oh
Yeah,
gosh,
and how
I don't
long
know.
before they're producing enough blooms to make a difference in your honey?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, but we've got like vast cherry orchards here. So if the bees were
Mhm.
collecting nectar, then there
Oh.
would be cherry. I mean, we have really
There
large
would be.
cherry orchards. There would be cherry honey if they were.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, don't
absolutely.
forget the bees are opportunistic and they will go for whatever the best honey, the best nectar source
For sure.
is for their area. And if cherry's not it, then they're not going to do it and they'll leave that to the native bees.
Yeah.
Right. On the other hand, your local beekeepers there may not realize that they have something special. You know, that's a possibility too.
If I get to
Unlikely,
the-
but possible.
Yeah, if I get to the point where I have enough hives, I'll be talking to some of the local farmers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
See, can I just put a couple hives in the middle of your orchard till the blooms are done?
Well, like apple blossom, you know, it is
Yeah.
a thing. You can get it, but it's really early in the season, so people
Yeah.
don't usually harvest it.
Yeah, here it's so
Right.
early.
Mhm.
Apples are so early in the season here that like my bees are still coming out of winter.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. So
Same
it's
thing with
really
dandelion. I would
hard to
adore
find.
getting dandelion honey, but that's not going to be a thing because again, that's like that and the tree blooms are the first food that they get in the summer.
Yeah.
right.
And you can't take that. They need food.
Mhm.
Well, unless you have enough hives, so you can just pull one frame out of one frame out of the next one.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah, that's
That's-
true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Chris,
see, I wouldn't end up doing that because we have I don't use any frames that have been treated with apivar for honey ever. So I would have to have a honey super on already at that point.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying
So,
that's a thing you can do. That's what Wayne Gibbons did for me. So I ended up getting a gallon of dandelion honey, and it is
Oh, cool.
very, very
Nice.
interesting.
Yeah.
It is
I
not
bet that would
something
be-
I will put into a competition because most of the judges would be like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
I think they do that with that chestnut, that Spanish chestnut honey
Yep.
that I picked up
Yep.
from Brian's.
It's,
Boy,
it's-
that was a hit with the.
it is its very own little thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
it is grassy and earthy, and it's very interesting. But I'm sure it'd be one of those things like, why would you ever make a mead out of this? Well, because I can, and because I
I'm
want
glad to have tasted it, but I don't want to finish the glass.
Oh
kind
no,
of
I
thing,
would
or-
drink it absolutely if it's well done. But
I mean,
yeah,
I love the
it's
smell of
just-
dandelions, so
it's super grassy and it's really, really interesting honey. I mean, there's a lot of them like that, you know, but
Yeah.
it's not in the mainstream for most people. So yeah.
Oh, Rob is saying that he talked to a beekeeper who pollinates the cherry orchards in TC. So they are doing that. He says, but the honey doesn't taste very good. And so they sell it to cereal makers downstate Kellogg.
Well, that's certainly possible. Yeah. I mean,
kind of wonder what it would taste like fermented, though, because like some fruits don't taste all that great till you ferment them.
True.
Like as far as I can tell, blackberries have no taste until you ferment them.
Oh no, blackberries got lots of taste.
None that I've ever had.
All right, so Kwan, what about like, and this probably will sound silly to you, but like for us, what kind of ingredients would you have local to you that are very, very unusual for us, that you would consider at the top of your list of things that you want to use or do use?
But it has to be unusual for you to you folks. Right?
Yeah, because your climate is different, obviously, and your growing rate is different. So, like, what are some of your favorite ingredients to use that we would find really unusual or interesting here?
Yeah, so that's a good point. I would say Oriental pears would be my number one. Yeah, because it's unlike those pears that we eat in the Western countries. You tried one, have you?
Oh, I've had a few different kinds of Asian pears. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. It's very similar to the ones they have in Japan. It's a really like a bowl shaped, huge.
Yes.
It's very crunchy, juicy. It's not like a very it's not concentrated taste, but it's very mild. So a lot of problems that I faced when I was submitting those meads in either Mazer Cup or the MMC is that those judges would never have tasted those pears before.
Right.
I guess they haven't. So it's really hard to, to impart those flavors to an extent where they can, at least detect the taste of that the specific fruit. But it doesn't work. It didn't work that way. So I'm trying to experiment on that in the near future as well, because it's really. I think it's really nice fruit wise, but I'm not sure if it's a perfect fruit for mead. But it depends. I guess that depends on the skills of the mead maker, really.
Yeah,
so a lot of improvements to be made.
I mean, there's some technique that you can use to concentrate your pear flavors, because pear is a fairly delicate flavor.
It is very mild, subtle. Yeah.
But one of the things, I don't know if you do back sweetening at all.
We do. Yeah.
Okay, because a lot of commercial mead makers don't like to do it because it's an extra step, right?
Right.
But if you do that, have you considered the possibility or experimented with cryo concentration?
I'm sorry. What concentration? Which concentration?
Cryo concentration.
Cryo concentrations. No, I haven't considered any.
Well, when you're looking at those pears next time, maybe if you get a chance to, I don't know if you press fruit and can make juice or whatever, or if you get the juice from a producer. Right. But if you do, you can freeze it, and then invert the frozen container so it slowly thaws and drips out into another container.
Oh, so you're leaving out the water out, right?
Correct. The water will remain inside the container. The juice will thaw first.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's an interesting idea. Yeah.
And so, if you just remove half the volume, you've doubled the concentration of the juice. And I do this with apple cider regularly for my sizers, and it absolutely works amazingly well.
Do you cryo concentrate on yourself, or do you ask someone else to do it for you?
No, I do it.
Oh, you do it?
Yeah.
He's in Minnesota. He can set it outside.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We get researchers here too.
Probably not tonight, but
no,
a couple of days ago, I could have done that.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago when we were hanging out around 0, I'd be like, okay, we can do that.
Yeah. Or you put it in a freezer. Same.
Oh, yes, idea. Of course. Yeah, and then just scoop out any frozen bits.
You don't even scoop it out. You just, like if you get if
you have a tap on the bottom, right?
Right, or a 1 gallon jug, and you just turn it over inside of a bucket.
Right, and then just leave out.
Same
Mhm.
idea.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
Oh.
so just a suggestion, if you want to play with that flavor a little more and try to get a little extra intensity out of it, that would be something you might want to consider.
Oh, that's a fascinating idea, I think.
And you could easily play with that a little bit, with just small volumes on a test batch and see what happens.
Oh, yeah. Mm.
Mhm.
So you try this method with apples too, right?
I've done it with apples. I've done it with pears. I've done it with rhubarb. All kind. Probably a dozen different kinds of fruits I've done this with.
But while juicing out those fruits, did you face any oxidations like that?
No.
Happens with juice?
No.
Okay.
Oxidation of the fruit itself isn't really an issue, especially if it's going to be fermented.
Fermented. Oh, okay.
If it's just going to be used for back sweetening, I will typically press and then I will sulfite.
Sulfite.
Just a little bit
Mhm.
to scavenge oxygen. And then I put it in the container to be frozen, at which point it's no longer any issue at all.
Mhm.
And I just do like 20 parts per million at most.
20 parts per million. Okay.
Just to scavenge oxygen. That's
right.
all it's for.
Just to get rid of the oxygen. Okay.
Right. And by the time I do use it, that has all been consumed. So it doesn't have any sulfite in it anymore.
Oh, that's a good idea. I'll try that.
Yeah, it's worth experimenting with.
I think so. Yeah.
What I'm suggesting. Yeah.
Mm.
That's pretty. Yeah, I haven't done that yet because for the last 30 years I've been living where it doesn't get cold enough.
Yeah, right. But now,
now
possibilities are endless.
Yepers.
I haven't tried it with the fruit, but I've done it on a couple of finished wines and meads to fortify them.
Oh yeah, you can do that. I personally don't like doing that because it also concentrates the undesirable things.
Oh yeah, it does definitely. If you've got any errors in it, it'll also enhance those.
Right. Exactly. But like the acids get more concentrated too, and that can really.
Sometimes it can throw off the balance. Yeah, but
I mean it works, no question. All right, we're in about an hour and a quarter now. I want to move on to a couple of Nathan questions because, as customary, Nathan had submitted about 10 different questions.
As usual.
And, yep, absolutely. So the first one on the list here is, are you looking to create additional fruit flavor combinations or other single hop varieties or moderately hopped versions based on the success of your Hoppy Honey Bunny Braggot?
Oh wait, could you just repeat the first phrase? I didn't get
yes,
that.
because these questions tend to be very complicated.
It is.
We're used to it, so yeah, we have to repeat a lot.
Yeah, one at a time, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to listen very carefully. All right. So basically, he's asking if you're looking to add additional fruit flavors or combinations based on your hopped versions or moderately hopped mead, similar to the Hoppy Honey Braggot.
Oh, so well, not this year. This year, I'm not planning any hopped mead with extra fruit flavored ingredients. And well, that's because again, we have to look into the Korean alcohol regulations. We have this because we're under the traditional alcohol law. I think if that's a correct terminology, we can only use up to 3 main ingredients that has to be sourced from the local regions.
Oh, really?
So that's gonna be honey, and if I'm making a cider, it can be apples. So the apple will be the second ingredient, and the third has to be something in the smaller quantities than the apple. But then again, I have to use it that has to do something with the meat, right? So I cannot just use something that is outside the that is completely irrelevant. So let's say I can use some pears, and from the fourth ingredient, I can use let's say any ingredients that has been imported, like vanilla beans, nutmeg, and all kind of stuff. Okay, so that's a basic idea. So back to the question: if I'm adding any fruit-based ingredients, to the hot mead, I'm not sure, because then again, I have to source those the actual fruits to complement within those three main ingredients. The
Right.
hop doesn't fit into any of those places, so we leave out that to the non-specified ingredients. So we have honey, and we have the Korean malt. So those malts are not used for beers. It's a typical malt that we use to make traditional rice malted drinks. So we have malts, and then so that's the third one is always a problem. So getting fruit in those small quantities, I don't know. It's a really tough task to do. But I hope and I'm also getting this news that this regulations is also going to be changed next year. So if that's lifted up, then I can also get like fruit concentrates from outside Korea.
Okay.
So by then I can also add those within the hops. Maybe I can try that maybe. But I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it did.
And I think he also mentioned about using single variety of hops. Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
right? So is that like similar to the smash brewing, like a single malt, single hops kind of style? Is that his intention?
What he was asking is if you were going to create fruit flavor combinations or other single hop varieties or moderately
single hop
hopped
varieties.
versions based on the
Okay.
success of the braggot.
Right. So the Hoppy Honey Bunny, it varies on the season. So some of the batches I only use single hops. So I only go for like Centennials, Citra, or Mosaic. And there are a few occasions where I add different hops for the dry hopping part. So I only use single variety of hops to use as a bittering agent, and then also as a flavor and aroma part. So we basically do the same thing as when we're making the beer. We boil the wort, the malt, and the honey, and then we add the bittering hops, the flavor hops, aroma hops.
Mm-hmm.
But as for the dry hopping part, I think we start using something different, like say Sabro hops really implemented this like a coconut kind of flavor, which is really interesting. So I think I could try that more and more often. And because if you change the dry hopping hops, you can make a whole different versions of Hoppy Honey Bunny without changing the ingredients. So I think that's one of the good ideas that I could try.
Okay.
Mm.
So you said you used Citra, Mosaic, and what?
Mosaic and Centennial.
Centennial.
Okay.
Yeah, that were the main hops that I mainly go for.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think there were one or two times I tried Simcoe, and that was also turned out really nice. Yeah.
Really, that's interesting because Simcoe is kind of a divisive hop because it's sometimes described as being catty. Catty, like cat pee.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cat urinations? Is that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Like chewing on a fruit tree.
I've never had the opportunity to taste any cat urination. So.
Yeah, right.
No,
I don't know what cat pee tastes like. So.
You don't taste it, but you might have smelled it.
Yeah.
Smell it? Maybe not. Yeah. Well, it was actually my first version of Hoppy Honey Bunny commercial batches. I used the Simcoe hops, but
I mean,
it was really
Simcoe
pleasant.
can be great too.
Yeah.
When it's done right, it smells like orange rind.
Oh, okay, I see.
But
and if it's not done well, then it should taste like
then it's
like
somewhere between cat pee and orange rind. That's great.
Okay.
I know. It's like, I don't know. It's a broad spectrum. What can you say?
Then again, I think some people are more sensitive to the whole cat pee thing too. Like my
Well,
mom
that's probably
says a
true.
lot of things smell like cat pee, including
Yeah.
like black currants. So
That's sort of like coffee too. You know, like
Mm.
coffee and fermented beverages. If it's not done right, I get green pepper.
Oh,
And
yes.
I like green
Okay.
pepper, but I don't really expect it in a coffee. you know.
Yeah.
And other people will smell it and they're like, no, I don't get that at all. Okay, it's the way it is. It's sort of like the cilantro thing too, right? I mean,
Yeah. Or I get a really acrid smell from a lot of brassicas that no one else seems
Mhm.
to smell. So yeah, I get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's see. What about some other things from Mr. Nathan here? I'm sorry, I had to step away for a second. My daughter just arrived from Colorado, so
Oh, okay.
yeah. Did you ask any of the other questions
We did
yet?
not. No.
Not yet.
Okay. Are you working to other events like Midnight in Seoul beyond your local markets?
Wait, how does he know about Midnight Soul? Midnight.
He does his
Nathan
research.
Nathan
is
is
very
amazing.
good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
We could give him
Okay.
somebody that nobody's ever heard of that is, like completely off the grid, and he will find stuff out. We don't
Wow,
know
that's-
He's
how, and we
amazing.
don't ask.
Oh, that freaked me out. So,
Yeah. No, he does not work.
And
for the
no,
CIA
he
or
does not work for the CIA or the FBI.
Right.
No,
well,
he works for the Chamber of Commerce, actually.
well,
Does that work?
It's really, it's surprising that want to find out about this Midnight in Seoul event because it was a really small event, local.
Oh.
It was only open to local chefs and celebrities. So yeah, I didn't know how that ended up there, but yeah, I mean, the more event of these kind of opportunities will help us to get our brand to be known in the local cuisines and the meat industry itself. Yeah, so I'm
Right.
looking forward to that opportunity. Yeah.
Are you
Definitely.
shipping outside of Korea, or are you pretty much just in country right now?
We were just domestically sailing towards last December last year, but we offered these exporting opportunities by these distributors in Hong Kong.
Okay.
So they were asking several boxes that to be delivered within this June. So that will
Nice.
be our first export. And
Okay.
yeah, but
'cause Christian's asking, do you ship to Canada?
Canada. Oh well, there are many Canadian customers that came and asked whether this can be delivered to Canada.
Uh-huh.
I guess we can work around that, but I cannot ship any of these products to Europe, unfortunately, because
Why is that?
because they have this law that they cannot accept any honey-related products from Korea.
Oh.
Or poultry. I don't know
Oh.
why. It's just there is.
So no honey and no chicken.
Okay.
Okay.
No chicken, no honey, no meat. Yeah,
That's wild.
yeah, it is. So I guess
Okay.
Canada works. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The other question he asked, which I think is very interesting because of where you're located, is whether you would be interested in trying New Zealand hops.
New Zealand hops. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm always eager to try
Are
new
you familiar
things.
with them?
No,
Yeah.
unfortunately, no, I'm not.
They've got some really nice hops down.
Yeah, there's a ton. Yeah, there's a ton of really great varietals, and a lot of them are actually varietals that are known by another name elsewhere, but because of the terroir, they're very, very different in terms of how they turn out.
Yeah.
And they have some really, really good hops that you might find interesting, and you're very close to them, so
Right.
Relatively
it
speaking,
might be
yeah.
a little less expensive for you to get them.
Well, I could try out one of those shops that sell hops online. I'll see if they have any hops from New Zealand. Maybe it'd be nice if you can specify the names of the New Zealand hops so I can look into
Oh,
it.
I could send you a whole bunch of them.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, please
Well,
do. Yeah.
Javier is asking, with hoppy meads, do
Right.
you use wine yeasts or beer yeasts?
Okay, so the braggot, I use the beer yeast.
Okay.
So the hoppy meads, I can also I'm also planning to make one of the non-braggot hoppy meads. So that's the mead without any malts in it or grains, just hoppy traditional. For that, I will also go for ale yeast. I'm not for like a specific regions, but because I'm just used to it. So
Right.
that's I think yeah,
You know
that's
how
one
it
of the.
acts. Yeah.
Mhm. And I mean, and those special types of ale yeast strains will give more like a floral, fruity flavors over the wine yeast that I have. That is only available in Korea. So the only wine yeast here I can get is mostly the EC 1118,
Okay.
the champagne yeast. So
Right.
that which has a neutral flavor. Is that correct?
Pretty much, yeah. But it's
Yeah.
a barn burner though. That thing will go through. It goes through sugar like nobody's
Yeah, it
business.
just
Yeah,
rips out everything.
Yeah.
If you
So-
abuse it a little bit,
neutral.
it slows down.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
If you
neutral
what?
at low temp, but at higher
Right.
temperatures, it'll get more
Throws
like a
fusels, yeah.
buttery, savory
Mhm.
kind of character to it, I think.
Yeah.
And that actually brings up another question. It seems like you're fairly well funded. Do you have jacketed fermenters or temp control?
No, not in this facility. We have air conditioned fermented room. So
Okay.
the temperature is all controlled by air conditioners, two actually. So
Uh-huh.
Okay.
just in case one breaks down. So I have a
Right.
one spare. Yeah, so I try to keep everything, the temperature between 20 to 25 Celsius throughout the whole season.
Hmm.
So that's relatively lower than I used to
Right.
do in my other meadery.
Right.
We just
Yeah,
had that kind of.
if my memory serves, that's about 68 Fahrenheit for those who aren't.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about right. Yeah. For those that don't speak metric.
Yeah, 20 is 68, 25 is
Yep.
I think 77 or so.
Mhm.
I cheat. I have a thermometer right by me. I don't have all these memorized, I promise.
She has to do this for me.
Yeah. Well. Yep. My
I don't
memory's
think
a
in
little
metric
old.
yet.
It's
Yeah.
been a while since I lived in a country that did metric, but
Christian says, leave the EC 1118 in the bathroom while showering. See if the added heat and humidity will abuse it enough. That's pretty funny. I mean, Kwan could just set it out on the screened-in porch, you know,
So
during the monsoons. That's like being in a shower.
I'm a little curious, Kwan, because the way you said that makes me think that you only have one variety available to you for wine yeast. Is that correct?
More or less, I guess.
Wow.
Okay.
There are like other two like uncommon, but they are known to be used for wine industry in Korea. Yeah, but it's pretty much EC 1118 that you can get in the
And
home
is
grain
there
scale.
a specific reason for that, or?
I don't know, but I think because not many people like wine industries are in Korea is I say developed, right?
Okay,
So they are
small wine industry. Okay.
Yeah, it's a very small market. So the local winemakers, they just rely on the same yeast strains. So
I see.
think
Yep.
they're not much into like studying yeast strains and then all that kind of other factors. It's just fruit fermented, and then voila, we get wine. That's it.
Right. Okay, so I'm gonna go a little bit farther afield here.
Okay.
How would your customs import people feel about a few flakes of kvike making their way into your hands?
So sorry, can you just repeat that again?
Yeah. So there's a yeast.
Yeah.
And it's actually a whole bunch of different kinds of yeast, but they've been isolated that came out of Norway.
Kvike, is that it?
Yeah, kvike.
Yeah.
And so I was just wondering, like, how would your customs and import people feel if some of that stuff made its way to you?
The customers.
No,
customs.
Your customs and import.
Oh, imports. Okay. I don't know actually, but we also have kvikes that has been imported in the small scales.
Uh-huh.
So they're available in a small home brewing shops. So
Okay.
they're mainly used for beers, really, not much
Well,
for mead.
it works great for mead too.
Oh, so that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years. I've been making smaller batches using Kvike, and one because the faster fermenting speed, and two because I'm told that it gives a very tropical flavor, which I was after.
Yep.
So yeah, those were two things I was trying to achieve. So the speed, and then the productivity, and then also the tropical flavor. So yeah, I guess if this homebrewing scale worked, then the commercial should also be available. But when I made the inquiries, they told me that it was just way too expensive to import. So they didn't have any available
Okay.
stocks within them.
Well, it propagates easily,
Mhm.
and you can actually freeze Kvike.
The used yeast, you mean? The yeast,
Yeah, you can.
the used
Yeah.
Kvike. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm actually making a beer tomorrow
Mhm.
from a Kvike package that I turned into flakes,
Mhm.
dried them, and then put them in the freezer. And I've had them now for 4 years. And
Oh,
yeah, and I just take about 3 or 4 flakes out, and I make a starter out of it, and then I brew with it, and it works absolutely fantastic. The stuff is so.
how many
How
times
many-
can you do that?
Well, I'm still using the original generation, first generation, because you can dry it and freeze it.
Okay.
So I don't know. The most generations that I've used is 5 and no problems. But I actually have flakes from the very first generation, which is 4 or 5 years old at least, and it works perfectly fine. So the point being, if you can't get some of these other things, that might be an alternative for you to play with, because you can freeze it, you can dry it, you can beat the crap out of it, and it survives.
Right.
And it works really well, and it tolerates very, very high fermentation temperatures.
Mm.
So it's super durable, which
Mhm.
makes it very, very attractive in my opinion.
Right. Hmm. I think the sparkling mead that I got silver in the recent mead Madness Cup,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
that for that I used Kvike yeast. So basically, because I could not get a huge quantity of commercial scale size,
Yep.
I had to buy like loads of those small packets of like 10 grams of Kvike yeast from
Right.
the home brewing
Right.
scale, and then I just had to use that.
Yeah, so Christian noted that in Norway they make these things called a kvike ring,
Oh yeah. I think I've seen it. Yeah.
and then they just hang it on an iron nail in the barn, right? And it sits
Right.
there until they're ready to use it the next time. So, the point is that they've been beating the hell out of it for the last 100 years, and it's still survived, and it
Survive.
still
Yeah.
produces good quality beer.
Mm.
So there's no reason you can't do something similar. Is my point.
Yeah, I think I should more look into Kvike.
Yeah, I mean
in the future.
it's worth playing with.
It is. Yeah. But I remember when Kevin, when you made a presentation back in Mexico,
Yeah.
about you using Kvike, and then you managed to turn from honey and water into the mead that was bottled within a week.
Mhm.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
and the batch size was around 20 liters, was it?
Yeah, I think so. I made 2 meads at the same time. They were both about 20 liters, and I fermented at 104 degrees Fahrenheit, which somebody can translate.
Metrics,
for me.
please.
Yeah.
About 40
40.
Celsius.
Okay. Oh, that's quite high. Okay.
Yeah, it's high, but
Yeah.
these and I did one with the Hornendal strain, and I did one with the Voss strain.
Voss Kvike. Okay.
Yep. And I did them side by side, and I pitched the yeast at 8 p.m.
Mhm.
When I came down in the morning to check progress, they were both at terminal gravity already.
Wow. It's just
And that was about 8 or 9
nuts.
a.m. the following day. So
That's
under
just
12
nuts.
hours, they went from about 20 bricks down to 0
Right.
in under 12 hours. And I had them packaged and delivered to a competition within 10 days.
Right.
And they did well. Let's put it that way. Yeah. I ended up later in the year getting a gold medal out of one of those at Mazer Cup, just as an example. So the point, though, is that the yeast is super durable, and if you use it correctly, you can produce some really amazing things very, very quickly. And I think that's very attractive on a commercial scale.
How do you define correctly? By using the correct yeast?
Well, by making sure it has the right amount of nutrition, it's fermenting in a range that it tolerates or likes, and you're pitching the right amount of yeast also.
Yeah, that's, I guess, one of the important factors.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously you can underpitch it, then you just have to wait longer, and
Or you get stalled fermentations.
Yeah, it might stall, or it might get stressed. All those sorts of things. But I've been making beer for a long time, so I don't underpitch.
Right.
And I'm not sure what the exact optimal conditions for those two strains are, but the way that I did it seemed to work really well.
I would guess for a commercial-sized batch, you'd want to make a really big starter of it.
Or just have a big pitch. It depends on how expensive the pitches are, right?
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of commercial places. They want to buy ready-made yeast, and it's in a box, and you just throw the whole thing in, and you're good to go.
You mean the liquid yeast or the dry?
In that case, yes. In that case, but in my case, I was working from dried.
Dry. Okay, I see.
But now I'm working off those original batches still. So because I dried it myself, which is like absolutely dirt simple to do. It's so easy. Anybody can do it.
So do you just get the trubs of the lees and then put in the dehydrator?
Yeah, I just I cover it with a like a hardware tub, and then I put a fan on it and dry it out on a plastic sheet.
And you don't get any molds or anything?
Nope.
That. Okay, cool.
It only takes a few hours to dry it out because it's a thick slurry when you put it down on the plastic.
It might be different if you're in a more humid area, though.
Yeah, that's true. I live in a climate where at least 7 or 8 months of the year is fairly dry. But yeah,
thanks for the idea. I'll try to.
I mean, it's one of those things to play with, and if it works, great, and if it doesn't, well, then
Well, at least have an experiment. Okay.
Right. So
I mean, you may end up needing to make a starter the size of like a 5-gallon batch and pouring that into your commercial batch.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. I don't know how big are your batches?
They're about 700 liters.
Okay.
Per tank. So so that gives me around. Normally, I would pitch around 500 grams of ale yeast or something like that. Yeah.
So that's you basically buy a brick of dried yeast and pitch that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I usually do.
Yep. Okay. So one of the other questions that Nathan asked is, how do you approach recreating candy qualities of Dalgona in your Tofia mead?
Dalgona?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not following that.
Is there a candy that's called Dalgona or made with a fruit?
Dalgona. Oh, okay.
You don't speak Korean.
All right, I get it now.
Plus, I'm reading the English translation, which probably makes it even worse.
Okay, how does he know this stuff? Okay, so
again,
we don't
he has
know.
a very good command of the search engines.
He really does. Yeah, I think he's got a black belt in Google Foo.
Yeah. But he asked how I got those flavors, right?
how do you approach recreating those flavors? Yeah, I
Recreating
guess
one. Okay.
basically that's the
So
idea.
yeah, so that means he has either tried the real dalgona in Korea, or maybe
Maybe.
not.
It
Maybe
could
not.
have.
But it's the you seen the Squid Game on Netflix.
Mm,
I've seen snippets of it. I've never watched it because
I
I
saw the
find that
first
kind of thing
season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that disturbs me. That stuff really disturbs me.
yeah,
it's a
it's
very
not a
disturbing series.
it is not a pleasant thing to watch. But
No.
I'm referring this because there's a part where they're making dalgona.
Mm,
They're burning the sugar, they're caramelizing it, and then they have the needles to break down the shapes of the what they got. So yeah, so the way of approaching to get that kind of flavor in tortilla is tortilla is a boucher style meat that I make.
Mhm.
okay.
Okay.
So I naturally have to caramelize it, but then again, when I was not really aware of the real techniques or the real aspects behind making boucher, I used to do some small burnings at the end of caramelizations. So by burning, it, you actually could see some smokes that comes out of the vessels
Oh,
Okay.
because the temperature was way too high, and I didn't realize that back then. So by burning it, maybe I kind of burnt made those burnt sugar notes.
mm-hmm.
So that's very close to what you would expect if you're having dalgona.
Ah, okay.
So that's how I implemented those tastes in tortilla. So if you look at the labels of tortilla, you have the shape of a star. So the star was actually the one of the shapes that the actors they get in the
Aha.
Squid Game.
Ah, okay.
It's a very common shapes that you get if you go to dalgona places, the vendors on the street. So yeah, so that was the story behind it. So yeah, to get one of those burnt sugar notes, I literally had to burn the honey, but I'm not trying to do that anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's not a good thing in the meat.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of the bouchers that I've judged have had that
Mhm.
burnt note to them.
Mhm.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
that's a very interesting answer to the question. I like
It
it.
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Someone else
for
mentioned about
So for anybody interested, I looked it up and it looks like it's made with melted sugar and baking soda, and to me sounds like it might be something like sponge toffee.
I have no
sponge
idea
toffee.
what sponge toffee is. Yeah, must be a Canadian thing.
Uh, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, I know what toffee is, but sponge
Well,
toffee is a new one for me.
if you ever make peanut brittle,
Yeah,
you add the baking soda at the end to make it a little bit bubbly so that it doesn't break your
yeah,
teeth when you eat it. That
right.
only
Ah,
without the
okay,
peanuts.
okay, gotcha. Okay, that makes
That's what
sense.
I'm imagining. I could
Okay,
be completely wrong on this, but that's from the chemistry. That's what I'm imagining.
okay. So, are there other Korean? This is another Nathan question. Are there other Korean candies that you're inspired to try to create meads that taste similar as well?
Oh yes. So when I was back in Poland, I think it was 2 years ago. Danik stole.
Oh
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a current the head judge of
Right.
the MMC.
We know Danik.
We know
Yeah,
Danik.
you
Yeah.
do. Yeah. So he always brings this strudels.
The
Have you?
Yes.
Struvafel,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That stuff
And
is
he
so good.
it is. But
I
I
hate
was.
him because it's so good.
I know.
You gave him. Oh.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, yeah,
Okay.
it's that kind of friendly hate, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh my God, this is so good. I
I
hate
can't,
you.
yeah, I hate you.
All
Yeah.
right.
I
Yeah.
have this. I hate you.
Like,
Yeah.
how could you do this? I hate you.
And I also was quite stunned the way how he put that into his mead. So his strudel mead also just tastes exactly like the actual strudel.
It
It does.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was inspired by that. So when I came back to Korea, I was thinking of making a mead out of a Korean traditional snack. So it's a really sweet, very soft candy that is made with the again maltose from the rice
Mhm.
and sugars, cinnamon, and all kind of the spices. And I actually bought one of those back in Poland, um, and I gave those out to people. And I think there's a way to make a meat out of that snack.
Hmm.
I'm still working on that, but it could work in the future, maybe.
Cool.
That sounds like a really good idea in your local market. If people are really familiar with that candy or that
Oh,
tea,
yes, it is. Mhm.
right? Because if
Yeah.
it's popular and you nail it,
Mhm.
they're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, this
Yeah.
is
It would be like getting
fantastic!"
Taki mead or
Yeah,
yeah, like Haribo sugar bears.
yeah.
Yeah,
Or
like
like when you go to France and you get a really good cup of espresso, and you nail that in a mead. I mean, it's like, wow,
Yeah.
mhm.
I want that. Yeah,
Well, like Danny's
exactly.
Stroopwafel. I mean, I swear
Yeah,
to God,
yeah,
it's like you just
exactly.
basically blended Stroopwafels and added alcohol. I mean,
Right? I know. Yeah, I'm still just flabbergasted
I
by
know. I was
that mead.
stunned at how good that was. You don't know how hard it was for me to give up one of those bottles.
Well, I'm very grateful you did because I wouldn't have tasted it otherwise.
I
And
know, right? Well, I couldn't not. I mean,
that was really awesome.
it
It
really
really was.
was. Yeah.
All right. So one of the other questions he asked is, he
Right.
says, I've noticed that you have a variety of glass bottle types used for certain packaging needs due to sparkling meads and other choices. Have you run into any sourcing issues since you've been operating, or cost prohibitive packaging decisions?
Well, so I could say something one or two things about the sparkling bottles, because just like the wine yeast issue, we only we have a very limited access to a very handful amount of wine bottles here in Korea.
Aha.
So that's one of the big issues, because like let's say there's like 50 or like 70 winemakers, they all use the same bottles, right? So
Right.
it's a really huge issue because they cannot distinguish themselves from the others. So but I was kind of lucky, I guess, because not many people here, they produce sparkling beverages. But so when I started the meadery, my second meadery that focuses on the sparkling meads, we only had to use the bottles that can endure a certain amount of pressure. That is specifically designed for the carbonated specifications, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those bottles one or two bottles were available in Korea, but then again, they only had like a tan version, which I'm not was fond of, because I always believe that the mead, especially the traditional ones, you want the golden color to show up, not hidden behind like a brown, dark green bottles. So I wanted like a transparent one. Then again, I couldn't source that. So what I had to do is I had to um, track down the original manufacturer, and then I had to ask them uh, to make the transparent one by using the same the mold they used to make the black brown bottles. So that costed quite a fortune.
Oh wow.
Uh-huh.
Just for doing that, by doing because I had to meet up to the minimum amount of the quantities. So
Right.
the MOQ was around 12,000 bottles, I think it was,
Whew.
just for one term. Yeah. So I have that. I still have those in my facility.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So
yeah.
then you have to store them.
Exactly. And one of the big issues here in Korea, like the rainy seasons, because that's what not I haven't thought about it uh, thoroughly. So the rains, it kind of made a mess on those storages. So at the moment, I'm trying to clean them up as we speak.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because the rain causes a lot of problems once they get into
So
your bottles. Yeah.
I suppose those bottles are packaged in like a cardboard box of some kind.
So they come in pallets, and they are
Uh-huh.
wrapped around in a thick polyvinyl sheets.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then they're only topped with like the wooden, like a thin wooden board that
Yeah.
naturally isn't, immune to humidity and the rains.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Right.
everything's so messy inside. So I'm
Yep.
having a difficult problem with that. So that's why this year I'm building, I'm expanding my outer storage so I can keep those in it
Uh-huh.
without the rains.
Wow.
Mhm.
So wait, are those bottles outside?
Some of them are because I couldn't
Oh,
fit them
wow.
all in my current storage. So
I see.
yeah, it's a huge stuff.
Yeah,
yeah, it is. Yeah.
12,000 bottles. Yeah, I would expect so. That's a lot
Yes,
of bottles.
I still have like a 6,000 to go, and they are being stored outside. Yeah.
So okay, so you have 6,000 to go. What is your
Mhm.
annual production in that facility of bottles?
So no, I mean I would minimally for minimum I would go for around 12,000 bottles
Hmm.
per year, regardless of the the productions. But the maximum I can reach would be around 30,000 to
Uh-huh.
yeah 30,000 bottles would be my maximum capacity.
Okay.
So that's including the amount of labors that costs to bottle, to package, to label it, and all that kind of things.
Yes.
Yeah, because that also takes time because not everything's done automatically. So
Oh,
we
right.
have
Absolutely.
the
And
many manually done. Yeah.
speaking to that, who is doing all the production? Is that you?
Well, it used to be me and my assistant brewer,
Uh-huh.
but now he's gone, so I had to hire a new. Uh, well, he's not a brewer, but his main job is a salesman. But his main his prior job was a wine and sake brewer sommelier. So he has a very great interest in also producing the mead itself. So whenever he has a spare time, he comes down and he helps me out doing those
I
things.
see. Wow. That sounds like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
Yeah.
All right. Last Nathan question.
Okay.
And you will be grateful that these are all finished now.
I had a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes, of course. He asks
Yeah.
great questions. Truly. I like to tease him because he's local to me and I see him regularly. So I'm allowed
Okay.
a little tiny bit of latitude here.
Okay.
Is there a
Fire.
style of mead that you wanted to make on a larger scale that has been a challenge in the past due to ingredient sourcing? I think he means scarcity.
Scarcity. Well, if that's the case, if honey is scarce, then
Aha.
I would try to make more of a dessert style, maybe.
Uh-huh.
So more honey, high alcohol, and higher residual sugars, maybe.
Right.
And yeah, I didn't really get into those styles initially because first they cost a lot of amount of honey, and two, I thought one of the reasons why meat itself did not get popular in the past 1 or 2 decades was that they tend to be really sweet, right? So it's
Right.
something that you cannot have as a everyday drink.
Yep.
Or maybe it was kind of too sweet for for regular Koreans. So because that's the reason why I stick to making sparkling light meat that has a finer gravity between 1.015 to 1.0220.
Mhm.
That's like the maximum amount of residual sugar that we go for because that's tend to be the right amount of sugar, the right amount of acidity, and it's easier to drink, right?
Sure.
But again, that we've done that for like 3 years now. So now, because those meads are really, it becomes really tough in competitions when we are to compare with like other sparkling wines, like say spumante or other like sparkling champagnes, and because of the cost issue, it's really hard for us to deliver those to the local restaurants because they already have like a cheap sparkling wines.
Right.
So I guess we're now back to making like the actual meat that has a the standards from the Europe or maybe like the States where it has a much more body thickness and more like a high content of alcohol and maybe a bit more of sugar. So, and because we don't have those here, maybe like some of the wines they serve in the like higher tier restaurants, but they do not have anything like those meat kind of beverages. So
Right.
I guess we're gonna stick to those kind of recipe from this year.
Okay.
Oh, and
All
we're
right.
gonna also focus on the oak barrel aging.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
A lot of our meats will be oak barreled. So that's gonna be a fun thing to do.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, they also take a little extra time and they take a lot of storage space.
It does, but I think the reward is very, I would say, irreplaceable.
Right. As long
Yeah.
as you can get a premium for them,
Mhm.
it's a great idea.
Mm. For now, we have several barrels from my local distillery, and then the ones I recently got was Madeira pod casks.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Oh,
it was really
nice.
good, really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So we're gonna get more of those, I think, this year.
That sounds very nice.
It is. I hope to get to those to you in the future, distant future. Yeah.
Nice.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
it does.
Well, that concludes all of our Nathan questions.
Yeah. And you survived.
Very good. Very good.
Right.
Oh, yes.
Well, I didn't hear no bell.
I won't say that I've exhausted all of my questions. I'm sure I could come up with many more. What about you, AJ or Vicky? Anything else that
No,
you
I
have?
think we hit most of the things we were talking about.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we hit everything I was interested in.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much for your invitations and warming welcomes.
Oh,
Thanks so
yeah.
much for coming.
Oh,
Thank you.
delighted to have you.
Always.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hope I'll get to see you again soon, but
Oh, yeah. Of
hard
course.
to say. We'll see where things are at, and as the year goes by.
Yeah, money,
Mm.
money, money.
Yeah.
That's what it takes.
Like Kevin, I'm going to be unemployed going forward. So.
Yeah, exactly. It makes a difference somehow.
It does. Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Well,
All right.
very good.
Okay.
Thank you. It was great talking with you again. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Likewise.
definitely.
Likewise. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, AJ.
I know you started your day off with a little sochu.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's a nice way of starting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you got
it
to
is.
do it.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay.
Very good.
I have to
Well,
see
take
you
care.
next time.
Yeah.
All right.
too.
Thank you.
Take
Take
care,
care.
Juan.
Take care.
Night.
Bye bye.
Or morning.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right.
So we got a bunch of events coming up, guys. Let's see here. All right, March 26th, Cloud City Modern Mead in Leadville, Colorado has a mindfulness meetup. March 26th, Cupcasby Good Meadery in Auburn, Indiana has Mead Makers Night. March 29th, Hive Mind Mead and Brew Company in Caldecott, UK has the Eastside Kings playing live music. March 29th, Grimsby Hollow Meadery in Middleville, Michigan has Drink Mead, Learn Things of Fungus and Folklore. March 29th, Thistle Rock Mead Company in Charlottesville, Virginia has Will Collins Alive and Pickin' live music. Somebody's moving jars around or something.
Not me.
Not me.
Yeah. March 30th, Scale and Feather Meadery in Avondale, Arizona has Medieval Madness, Food, Fun, and Finery, and of course, mead. March 31st, Honey Girl Meadery in Durham, North Carolina is starting their Mead Mondays, 10% off all meads for a period on every Monday. April 2nd, Cloud City Modern Mead in Leadville, Colorado has their mindfulness meetup. April 2nd, Kingview Mead in Mount Lebanon, PA has Trivia Night. April 5th, Ellis Island Coffee and Wine Lounge in Edmond, Oklahoma has meet and greet tasting, charity fundraiser, and silent auction featuring Dancing Skeleton Meadery. April 6th, the Thunderbird Lounge in Phoenix, Arizona has the 3rd annual Nordic Mead Making and Tasting. April 6th, St. Ambrose Cellars in Beulah, Michigan has a mead and cheese pairing. April 9th, Green Mountain Mashers in Essex, Vermont has the next episode of their Mead series, Part 4, Specialty Meads. April 10th, Red Wine and Brew in Mentor, Ohio has mead tasting with meads from Brothers Drake, Dutch Creek, Four Fires, and Feisty Brood. So it'll be a lot of meads to taste there, over 60 different meads.
Oh my.
Yeah. April 11th, Artifice Ales and Mead in Mannheim, Pennsylvania has line dancing. That'd be fun. April 12th, Cupca's Bee Good Meadery in Auburn, Indiana has Mead Makers Night. April 12th, Mershon Cidery in Stoughton, Wisconsin has Wisconsin Cider and Mead Festival featuring 20 meaderies and cideries. April 12th, Doggone Bees Meadery and Apiary in Hanover, PA has mead making class. April 12th, the Great Minnesotan Mead Tour in St. Paul, Minnesota. 3 meaderies, tasting flights, charcuterie, and lunch. May 17th is the Sugar Belt Mead Festival in Crown Point, Indiana. There'll be, last I saw, at least 25 meaderies with their wares, so probably over 100 meads to try. Then they also have live music, food trucks, and more. Coming up for episodes, we don't have anybody for the next episode yet. I'm working on it. But April 22nd, we have Arnie DeFern from Clockwork Bee Mead in Antwerp, Belgium. And then on May 6th, we have Alan Radicevic at Full Moon Mead in Transylvania. So that'll be really interesting. So I should have somebody for the next episode in the next few days. It just, nobody's picking that date. So... But in the meantime, though, it was really good to be able to be here with all y'all tonight. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. And in the meantime, be excellent to one another.
Night,
Take
everybody.
care.
Night.